This is a file that was produced for an industrial unit that I was working on. And we actually sent out the MicroGDS data to the consultant. So all of the grey graphics on this particular drawing here and some of the maroon graphics are created in MicroGDS. They were sent out to the structural engineer, who then added his drainage information. If I just double-click to open that, you'll see that in the model space version, we've got the graphics, all of the drainage information that he's added, shown in green, and he's also added some hatching onto our building profiles. And again, we can choose to modify this. We can edit the text if we want to change that. So if we just take out the OA from Leeds Road and call it Leeds Road, if we wanted to do that, for example. So we can then return this to the structural engineer, and you can pass data backwards and forwards seamlessly, really, without any real difficulty at all in working with other consultants. I'm going to open another file. And this is from the same consultant, and this time it's a drawing that he created entirely from scratch and gave to us, which is the initial steelwork information for the project. Just give it a moment to open. And I'll zoom into this area, which is where I know one of the sections on the sheet is organized. The way that the data is laid out on this sheet is down entirely to the way that the structural engineers decided to work with the data. But we can see perfectly clearly that we've got pretty much everything that we would need from these AutoCAD data to now incorporate into our architectural GAs in MicroGDS. And the final one is, I know this time I need to change the units to meters, because this particular architect used meters when he created this AutoCAD drawing. And this is a GA plan of a hotel spa. And I'm going to zoom into an area of the spa here, which is the gymnasium, which is vacant at the moment. I'm going to press F2 to bring up my window editor here, and I'm just going to add a new layer. And I'm just going to call it, let's just call it gym equipment. Okay. And we'll leave it at yellow because we're working on a black background. That'll work fine. And what we're going to do is we're going to import an object from a library file. So if we list all of our objects, we can see there's a whole range of objects in there. I'm just going to filter it so that we're only seeing anything that's related to the gym. Okay, click on list, so we now see that we've got a group of equipment for gym. So select the one we're interested in, click on insert, and we can position our gym equipment in the drawing exactly as we want. Get a crash mat there, cross trainer. Not really a cross trainer, that's a balance thing, isn't it? So insert, rowing machine, stepper, treadmill. And I want to rotate that, so I'm going to rotate that through 90 degrees. I can just do a transformation as I'm inserting these objects. And finally, the weight rack, I'll just stick that over there. And then I can copy any of these as well that I need to copy around the scheme. I now need to send this back to the original architect, so we don't want to send him all his own data back as well, so we can choose just to export the information that we've added to the drawing here. And I think the first thing we need to do is just make sure that the layers that we're not interested in are invisible. Click on close, and now when we do export, PWG, and let's just call it gym. Click on save, and it will prompt us for some settings, and we can choose to exclude the invisible and screen-only phases. We can choose the version of AutoCAD we want to use, click on OK, and that's exported just that layer that we can now send off to our architect to incorporate into his original drawing. Okay, so I'm going to close all those down now. Not going to save any of these changes. Give it a moment to think of that. taking so long, but never mind. Close the next one, no changes, and we'll close this one with no changes. Right, our next one. One of the unique features of MicroGDS, and it's available in the entry-level version, is the ability to work directly with Ordnance Survey master map data. You can purchase the master map data instead of purchasing the DXF version, and you will get all of the styles and layerings and all of the information that is displayed in the master map available in MicroGDS. You just have to run a short-term program to convert the GML file that you get into an XML file that MicroGDS can read, and you can then import that into your project or just open it directly. I'm not going to go through the conversion process. It takes a few minutes. I just identify the file, and it's this Exeter file here. This is data that you can download yourself from the master map site to try it out in MicroGDS. Quite a lot of data. It's the entire 5 kilometre by 5 kilometre tile of Exeter city centre we've opened here. And all of this information, all this style information you see here with the different colours and this text and other information that's attached to all of these elements of the project is exactly as it appears in the original master map data. You don't have to use it. If we go to our document organizer, you can turn off all of those styles and just display the line drawing if you prefer. And you can also obtain from the master map people the raster information that goes along with this and turn that on and layer it into your project as well. So you can imagine the opportunities for presentation that you've got here. If I return to the original file and I just zoom to the extents, you can see the amount of data that we've just opened, and which we are manipulating in MicroGDS. I'm sure you'll agree, fairly smartly. This is an excellent tool. For any drawing that you've got open, you can store as many different views of features in that drawing as you want. If you look at the window name here, which is what we call these drawing views here, to expand that, we can see we've got a number of views of the data. So we can choose to go to a view of the castle, a view of the cathedral, or a view of the area around Flowerpot Lane, if that was the area of our site, for example. So this is great for basically Ordnance Survey location plans for any development, but very much so for master planning, which is a major advantage of MicroGDS over pretty much any other CAD system. There are other ways of getting the Ordnance Survey master plan data into your application, but they usually involve spending thousands of pounds or whatever on another application, such as AutoCAD Map, for example. I'm going to close that down, again without changing, saving, sorry, and we'll move on to our next section here, which is following on neatly from this with master plans. This particular master plan was for it's actually Huddersfield Technical College, which is it was a scheme that the architects unfortunately didn't win, but it was an interesting exercise for us to do. And you can see we've got the Ordnance Survey data tiled in 3D, as it happens here in the background. And we've also extruded with fairly simple tools all of the buildings in the site and added the proposals for the changes. Now everything you're seeing here in 3D, apart from, bizarrely, the trees, is possible in MicroGDS entry level. The thing that separates entry level from the collaboration version is really the additional 3D modeling and all of the rendering tools that you get with the collaboration version. But all of the things that you see here, as I say, apart from the trees, which use a sphere primitive that you don't get with entry level, is possible with the entry level version. These are really quite simple solids that you can just extrude and sweep and such like. So for example, if I zoom into a corner of this building here, you'll see that all we've got really is just a series of flat plates that they're just drawn as rectangles, and then we use a command to clump them together.